You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot
But
Box.
this is a day for celebration for my co-host, Mr. Ty Capone, who has been a staunch supporter of the Matador since we pretty much have started this podcast since he debuted, and he had plus 360 TKO this weekend. Ty goes plus 9.25 units on the day with one of the best days of all time, dating back to when we went crazy for the Islam and Oliveira card in Abu Dhabi. But this has to feel good there, Ty.
Yeah, man. Watching him since Brave CF, watching him make his debut against Yusuf Zalal, kind of struggle a little bit and just get better each fight. Dude, he even threw a little leg kick action. He got out leg kicked, but he even threw a couple that I think right away marked up Volkanovski's calf. And I was like,
100%.
damn, okay. Like, if we're doing that, if we're adding that to our game, anybody can be beat and everybody will be beat, but it's hard to see who's gonna beat him, at least in the close future. Like, you look at the top 10, and I see a lot of people say Max Holloway. He's gonna be an awkward test for sure. I think he's definitely a tough test for anybody in general. But what happens when he eats a right hand? Like Arnold Allen was testing his chin a little bit, and it's only a matter of time before it starts to go. And if Topuria hits anybody, dude, he's putting you down. Volkanovski said it himself after the fight. He was. I think they were both doing well. I think Volk probably won the first round. I think at the very end, the last minute, he really started to rally a little bit and just outstruck him.
Judges
really
had it as well.
Yeah, and I was a little surprised at first watching live, but watching it back, I wasn't. But that's kind of what Topuria wanted, dude. He was just trying to find his range. The feints were just absolutely working. The forward pressure, he commanded the center of the ring the entire time. He wasn't chasing. He was kind of cutting off the ring, and then he was just working that right hook, that right hand, that bomb that he was trying to get there, man. And he does such a good job of going, high, low, back high. And he does such a good job. If you notice, he kind of framed off him before he delivered the knockout shot. Kind of like moved a little bit to his right just to perfectly set up that right hand. It's crazy because his base is wrestling. His base is jiu-jitsu. He only just started to learn how to box and, watch Canelo to really become a dynamic boxer because he has that power. And at 27, man, what a win! What a scene! I mean, his family and everybody coming in after the fight. His brother lifting him up, carrying him across the cage right after the knockout. Volkanovski still not knowing what the fuck happened. I feel bad for him, obviously, but
it's part of the
what
game.
A moment, dude! It's so Conor McGregor like when he put Aldo out, right? And there's so many similarities, and people were pointing to the similarities. And then as soon as Topuria stole the belt at the press conference, everyone's like, "Oh, this is corny. He's trying too hard." And I was like, "Yeah." The press conferences have become very WWE like.
They don't really
right?
matter. They don't matter
for fuck.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter what they do. It matters what they do on stage. It matters what they do in the octagon. Right. All that shit goes out the window. It's just something to draw up the attention. To draw. It's the last time you'll see them kind of like facing off and whatnot. And, you have all the clown media that are in attendance. So that's kind of what the purpose is.
Yeah.
But, McGregor stealing the belt from Aldo, it's just another similarity to when they arrived, the back tat, the chest tat, and the record, the age. And, his Instagram follower, he almost has more Instagram followers than Max Holloway, who's, in the gaming community and this and that, been around for 10, 15 years. So, he had all of the Spanish athletes, Sergio Ramos, Alcaraz, Nadal, everybody was watching. Everybody was congratulating him. Everybody was tuned in. And I think we have a huge star on our hands. I'm not just saying that, because I am a huge fan of Ilia, but seeing how he is still making improvements in his game is crazy, man. Like now he's at the top. This is kind of where it gets hard because maintaining that top spot with all these guys, all these killers. He already has kind of like this rivalry with Yair Rodriguez, which I don't fully understand. I think Yair is just whatever, but he has to get through Ortega first, and then after that could set up a nice Mexico versus Spain, even though Ilia is Georgian, but it could set that up to be a big, nice little storyline. And obviously, he's going to call out Conor. He's going to call out whoever and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I do like how he talks. It's kind of crazy the difference in how he's perceived when he speaks English, considered compared to when he speaks Spanish. When he speaks Spanish, he sounds like ferocity and just dangerous. And especially the way he said it. It's just very different. But either way, I could go on all day. What a knockout! What a fight! What a way to set up that shot that he was looking for. And dude, it happened so quick. It just happened so quick.
Yeah.
That the commentator's call wasn't amazing, but I think even they were like, "What the fuck?" Like, it happened so quickly where Volk was kind of doing his thing, and then boom, dude. I will give all credit to Dean Thomas. Like a minute or two into the fight, he said, "Man, I don't really love how Volkanovski's backing up with his head up and backing towards the cage. He can't really go anywhere. He's kind of limiting his space, limiting what he can do." Going backwards, he said that right away, and it was 100% accurate because that's what did him in. He got knocked out on the cage, sitting sideways, like Paul Wall said, on the cage. Just brutal execution. I loved it. I was speechless. I didn't even know what to do or say.
Yeah, no, listen, it was one of them things where like I looked up, like I had my head down, looked up, and the man was sleeping. So I was like, wait, what happened? Like, because like you said, like it happened so I was watching the fight the whole time, and I was like, I forget. Somebody said something. I turned, looked, and looked back, and it was like you said, the announcers didn't even really like freak out. They just kind of were like, wait, what? And they were like flat,
Crazy.
Like landed them.
Sean O'Malley's face was pretty much what my reaction was. And Sean O'Malley's always like, he tries to play it cool, play it calm, right? Try to have that bravado, like, oh yeah, I want to put him out next. But even he had his mouth open. Jamal Hill was just sitting there, standing in awe. I believe it was Jamal Hill.
Yes.
And everybody in Fighter Row was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" And that's how you know when you have all these fighters, literally killers, Gaethje, and I'd have to go watch the video again. Just all savages, and they're all just standing there, sitting there, looking at each other like, "Yo, what the fuck just happened?" That's how you know. This kid's 27 years old.
Yeah,
like that's how you know you have a fucking problem. He got his nose busted up. He got a couple leg kicks, kind of chipped him away. His nose and his eye were a little fucked up, but it didn't matter, man. It's a fight, and Volk's face probably didn't look that bruised up at all, but it didn't matter. He took the just absolute nuke.
Listen,
Oppenheimer right hand on that jaw.
I thought Volk looked good for good portions of this fight, So I was like, when the fight started, and like you said, like there was some signs that things weren't like him backing up. I never we'll talk about it later, but it's exactly what I talked about in the Cejudo fight, that him backing up was going to be an issue because you cannot back up against a guy like Merab, but he kept backing up. He kept letting Ilia dictate what was happening inside the octagon, and he kept firing those leg kicks out on him. And we didn't really think that was going to be a huge factor, but it wound up kind of playing because you could tell the redness on the calf started to really add up. And not that it was like going to debilitate him or whatever, but it was making Volk uncomfortable because you saw him switching stances back and forth, and that was when I started to be like, "Fuck, we might be in trouble here," because you knew he didn't really want to wrestle him or take him down, because Ilia's ground game is elite, and he was doing good when he was getting up against the fence and he was doing the clinch and he was landing some of those knees and things like that, but he just kind of, instead of doing that, he wanted to just he recklessly threw a couple of them bombs to try to get him off of him on the fence, left his chin hanging out there, and it was just, that's the fight game though, man. You could look good for 24 minutes and then you make one mistake and that's the end of that. I mean, you talk to Chael Sonnen, who should have been the middleweight champion, one of the biggest upsets of all time, and he makes one mistake and that's it. Nobody really cares, and that's how it goes though. And Ilia deserves everything he's getting. He talked it, he willed it, he lived it, and he went out there and he took care of business. It's that simple. And for the sentimental part of me, it is sad to see Volkanovski go out like that, and it's sad to see the era end like that. But that's the fight game, and we it keeps moving, and now we have a new king of the featherweights, and now we have a wealth of new matchups that could possibly be, sprouted or grow from this. And you made mention of Holloway. Holloway's gonna that fight is in serious danger just because what Gaethje's gonna do to him might fucking delay that for a long time, and that's what I think is gonna happen. So I imagine the winner of Yair and Brian Ortega, which is gonna happen this upcoming weekend, that'll probably be the fight that they do. I would imagine sometime in the summer, if I was guessing right. And then apparently Topuria wants to go to Spain. So does Dana White. They could do, I think Volk does deserve a rematch. I just don't think it's going to be right away. I don't think he has to necessarily fight someone else to prove that he's worthy. I think he just needs to, let Topuria get a defense off or just take some time off in general. If Topuria doesn't fight and he doesn't fight, that's fine. But I just think the Volk needs time off. And the man's been very active and has kept us afloat for many a year and gave us all these different fights and moments, and just he deserves a little bit of time off and just get his mental health right, because there's obviously I don't want to speculate on that, but yeah, he talked about it himself. He did
talk about it, yeah, and I can't imagine getting knocked out twice in 4 months can do. I'm sure that's work.
It didn't help. It didn't help the situation.
Better. Right. Yeah. It's definitely not going to help. So I can't imagine, who knows what's going to happen going forward. Dude, he didn't even know what the fuck happened like 5 minutes after the fact. Ilia's whole entire family coming in the cage, his smoke show of a wife, his brother that looks just like him, except he's, he looks Georgian and Ilia looks Spanish.
Yes.
But they look the same. It's great.
It's
the same shaped head. And I'm excited to see Alexander make his debut. I forget. I don't think he has a fight lined up yet, but he just got signed. I think he's like 6 or 7-1. I think he's also a year older. So excited to see him make his debut. He fights a little bit like Ilia. Just, I don't think he's as good, but yeah, man. I think Alex for sure needs to take some time off. I think he probably should just move up. I don't know if I don't know what's left for him at 145. I guess the rematch, right? But I don't know if he really should fight him again. I just think he would get knocked the fuck out again. It's sad to say, but I think it would happen earlier, right? We've seen this happen before in multiple instances with an older fighter or the new guy coming on the scene, like when Figgy just absolutely brutalized Benavidez twice. I don't think we need to see this again, even though I understand giving the king his immediate rematch, right? It's only right, but I still would feel kind of bad seeing it happen again because I think we would know what the outcome would be.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed. You never know because Dana White kind of just does whatever he pleases and just makes shit up. He's talking about McGregor, talking about how much money he has, and that is infuriating me. By the way, the conversation around that he's trying to act like it has nothing to do with the fact that Conor only has 2 fights left on his deal, and he's just basically trying to ice him out until he's worth nothing. That's essentially what Dana White's trying to do. Oh, we've been great business partners, and he's got a lot of money. He's got to show me that he wants to fight. Bro, if that guy says he wants to fight, you sign him up and you make some money off of it. So, stop acting I don't know. The total side topic.
No, I feel it. You know how Dana is.
Yeah, no, it's... But I think if anyone's worthy and has done a lot to help the UFC, stepped in on short notice when he shouldn't have. We talked about it at the time. He should never have taken that Islam fight. It was not the right move, and it was a sad. I feel bad for Volk because of the way this has kind of gone down. But again, this is the fight game. That takes nothing away from what Ilia Topuria was able to accomplish on Saturday night, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I would like him to, maybe point out that's the smart thing that O'Malley did was, maybe point somebody out that, I want to fight him next, even if it was Cheeto Vera and he had that kind of lined up and it's, not the number 1 guy ranked, but Topuria went on the press conference and basically said that nobody in the whole 45 division is worthy of fighting him, and then doesn't want to fight anyone at 55 either. Yeah, and I'm like, so are you just going to
looking at No, I feel you. I don't love that. I think Leon Edwards did the same thing. I think John Jones sometimes does that, right? Even Conor, but sometimes it's true. Max Holloway definitely deserves a chance to fight Topuria because it's a different look. It's it could be interesting. It could be very interesting because I think Max is so good. He's so well rounded. He's still in his physical prime. I do just worry about all that damage he's taken and the way he fights. Like, dude, how? I guess Max would have a much better game plan. Not a better game plan. I guess he'd be more suited to stay at range, use his kicks. But he likes boxing. Max does, and like he might be a better boxer than Ilia. Honestly, I don't know if he is, but
there'd be a lot of dangerous exchanges in that fight. Man.
He definitely doesn't hit as hard. And like I said earlier, Arnold Allen was catching him.
Yeah,
I just think that's a different animal that you're going to play with. Is Max going to implement a wrestling? That's the thing, dude. Are you going to try to out wrestle or out grapple Ilia Topuria?
No,
I fucking hope not, because he walked through Ryan Hall's leg lock games like it was nothing. He walked through. He ragdolled Bryce Mitchell and arm triangled him. When Joe Rogan was like, "Hey, you don't want to go to the ground with this guy, Ilia Topuria. You're making a mistake," and then he fucking almost put him to sleep. Like, this guy's no joke anywhere. In the clinch, I like what he was doing. Volk was throwing some good knees off the break, but Ilia, his body work, man, he loves going to the body, setting up to go up high. It's just so beautiful to watch. It's just getting better and better. I wish he threw the jab more. That's my only complaint about his striking. I wish he jabbed more, but he does a good job closing distance. Dude, he has 4 bodies in the UFC. Think how crazy that he's put 4 people out unconscious in the UFC. He's 7-0 in the UFC. Over half of his opponents have just went to sleep, and 3 of those 4 have went to sleep with their backs against the cage. Damon Jackson against the cage, Jai Herbert against the cage, and now Volkanovski on the cage.
Yeah.
So, like, when he's going forward, when he's pressing forward, he might be the most dangerous pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC, which is crazy to think about because, again, he's 27, he's new, he's young, and there's so many other killers. He's legit, man. He's the real deal.
They haven't updated the rankings yet, but I imagine he's going to be in the top 5 pound-for-pound now.
I believe he is. I thought they did.
There was that was like a MMA fighting or something like that. The UFC's official pound-for-pound rankings still are unupdated because he's not even in the top 15. So another interesting name to think about as a future opponent for Topuria is Aljo. I don't know, I think he would have his way with him, but I'm just saying, like, that's another name that can be thrown out there too. Or I think the Ortega fight is intriguing. Again, at this point, I can't sit here and tell you that anybody's really going to give Topuria a problem, but there's got to be somebody out there that could give this guy a competitive fight, because recently it hasn't really looked like that. Maybe we're going to have to get Jai Herbert to drop weight or something like that. And run it back. I don't know. But great win for Topuria. Capped out a great night of fights.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.